start off this pull-apart bread, we need to make a dough. To the stand mixer, I got some tepid water, which is just water that's slightly warmed. And then I like to put the water in first and then put the flour on top. It makes it mixing a lot easier. Well, I don't know if that's true, but it seems that's the way it goes. You're gonna place your flour in, and then I've got some salt, and I've got some fresh yeast here that I'm just gonna break up, and we'll get that in there. As always, correct amounts and ingredients will be on the website, traditionalbutnot.com. Once you get all that put in there, close it down, and you're gonna mix this until it's a nice smooth dough ball. After I started the dough off on a little bit of a slower speed, and once it come together, I turned it up to number 3 on my little Kenwood mixer here, and it's been mixing for about 7 or 8 minutes there. And as you can see, it's a little bit sticky, but it's exactly what we're looking for. So we'll get the machine off the table. To help with the dough not sticking to your hand as much, just gonna get a little bit of olive oil and rub them on your hands. Then we can get the dough out, bang it on the work surface, and we're just gonna bring this into a nice tight little dough ball. It doesn't have to be perfect, you just want a bit of tension in the top so it rises nicely. Okay, back over to the bowl we just mixed it in. A little bit of oil, coat it around. Your dough bowl should already have enough oil on it from your hands, but you can give it a little roll around anyway. And then, once you get the excess oil off your hands, okay, once you've got the excess oil off your hands, we're gonna cover this in some plastic wrap, and we're gonna let it rise. Now, rising times are gonna vary a lot depending on a whole bunch of factors, especially how warm it is where you're gonna let it rest. But when it's doubled in size, we'll come back. Okay, to make the filling for the pull-apart bread, we're gonna put in some cream cheese. We got some basil, and we got some parsley, and we also got a whole head of roasted garlic. Now, I've made this before on the channel. All it is I cut the top off the garlic, put a bit of oil and salt, put the top back on, wrap it in some foil, bung it in the oven until it's nice and soft like that. Okay, also to this, we're gonna crack in some fresh cracked pepper and some salt. Now we're gonna put the lid on, and we're going to give it a quick blend just to get it all nicely incorporated. We'll give it a little scrape down. Now also it usually helps if you cut your herbs up a little bit, but I didn't do that, so it's going to take a little extra work. Also at this stage, we'll add a little bit of lemon juice. We'll just start off with about that much, and then we'll keep mixing it. Once it's all incorporated, we'll see if we need to add some more. Once it's all nicely incorporated like that, we're going to give it a taste. Once you've tasted it for seasoning, and you like where it's at, we're ready to jump on with rolling out the dough. That dough's nicely risen. Now we're just going to get a little bit of flour on the hands. We're going to get it out the bowl, and we're going to get it rolled out on the table. Just have a handy some flour and a little bowl handy next to you in case things get a little sticky. We'll go down with a bit on the table, and we'll start to roll this out. Once you've got it rolled out into roughly a rectangle shape, if you could call this that, don't get too caught up in the shape or any little holes you put in there. If it's like a little bit like that, just pinch it together. Bob's your uncle. Now we're going to get this filling, and we're going to spread it all over this pastry. I would leave a space on the end of the bread, maybe 2 centimeters across, and a little bit on the edge here, just so when we roll it up, it seals nicely and it'll have somewhere to seal. So we're just going to, simple enough, get all this filling, spread it out nice and evenly across the whole dough, and then we'll come back. Once you got your mixture all spread out, I've got a mixer of mozzarella and grana padano here. So this is also entirely up to you how much you put. I'm just going with a nice even layer. Once you got your cheese all laid out, simple enough, we're just going to roll it up. So just start on one end and start it rolling, and just keep on going, just like that, till it's all rolled up. As you can see, I've got it all rolled up, and when I got to the end, I just pinched the seam a little bit, just to make sure it's all nice and sealed. Now I've got my baking dish here with some baking paper in, and now I'm just going to go ahead and cut all of the sections into roughly the same size. I'm going to put them all in my dish, and then we'll come back. As you can see here, I've got them all cut out and laid in my baking dish. Now, I didn't have quite enough to fill up my dish, so I just put a bit of alfoil in the end here, just to fill in that bit of a void at the end. So now, we're just going to put a clean towel on top of this, and let it proof so they just puff up and all, get all joined in so we can actually pull it apart. And we're going to leave it there for about 30-45 minutes. We'll just have to see where we're at when we get to that point. So, we'll be back in about 30 minutes. To make the Romesco dipping sauce, I'm going to add in some hazelnuts to a little blender here, and we'll get these all whizzed up to a finer consistency. So I've got my parsley in here. I learnt my lesson from last time. I've roughly chopped it, and I removed most of the bigger, woodier stems. I didn't worry about the smaller ones, so that'll be just fine. All right, to the parsley, we're going to add half a clove of garlic. Also, we're going to add 1 jalapeno that's with the seeds removed. We're going to add 2 tablespoons of white wine vinegar. We're going to add a half teaspoon of smoked paprika. We're also going to add some olive oil, some fresh cracked black pepper, and some salt. We're also going to add a little dash of lemon juice. All right, we'll start off with that much. Okay, we're going to bung the lid on, get this all combined up, and then we'll taste for seasoning. Now when you've got it all mixed up like that, we'll add back in the hazelnuts. All right, we'll get this all mixed in and we'll check the consistency. I just scraped down the sides and had a little taste, and there's a little bit of bitterness to it. So I need to add a little bit of sweetness, and I'm going to use agave syrup. But you could also use some maple syrup or some honey or something like that. I've just got agave syrup on hand, so that's what I'm going to use to sweeten it. But you could also use regular sugar if you wanted to. So we'll start off with a tablespoon. We'll get the lid back on, we'll get that mixed in, and then we'll taste again and see what we need to do. Once you've tasted it for seasoning and you don't want to add anything else, we'll set this aside and it's ready for when we need it. It's been about 30 minutes and these are puffed up quite nicely. So we're going to stick them into a 200-degree preheated oven for about 15 to 20 minutes until they're nicely golden and cooked, and then we'll come back. I pulled these out of the oven after about 20 minutes, I would say. I'm not actually sure. I didn't keep an eye on the time. But when they look like this, they're done. Also, I apologise for the lighting. I just can't be arsed getting the proper lights out. So, the name is Pull Apart Bread, and this is still quite hot. So, let's see if I can do this without burning myself too much. Oh, it looks pretty damn good. Oh, damn. Even though it's scalding hot, this is so good. Let me try with a bit of this sauce we made here. The bread with the sauce, absolutely amazing. As you can probably see here though, I have a few places made out here on the table. That's because I got some people coming over who was going to help me demolish the rest of this bread. So they'll be coming quite soon. I got to get changed, but first, I think I have to have a bit more of this bread.